Hey, 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 y'all. It is us again. I am Catherine Calhoun, also known as Cece,
I am Kia Adams.
and we are the Education and Community Engagement Department here at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. And today is our April 28th Storytime Spotlight, and we are here with a very special guest, all the way from Texas, right?
That is right, Houston, Texas.
Yes, we
Right.
have author Miss Tiffany Obeng.
Oh, Bing, yes.
Obeng, okay,
Bing.
yay. So, Miss Tiffany, how are you today?
I am good. I am great. It is muggy here, but it's all good. Can't complain.
Yes, I wish we could say the same. But yeah, right now we don't know what our weather is going to be. But
Right.
Tiffany, and just you know what, I forgot to mention, Storytime Spotlight is a virtual series that we do, and we like to feature Black and Brown authors. We love to, of course, highlight Pittsburgh authors, but occasionally we go outside of Pittsburgh. So we have Texas in the building today, as we mentioned. So, Tiffany, would you be able to just tell us who you are, where you
Yeah.
from, with your background? Tell us a little bit about you.
Yes. Okay. So a little bit about me is that born and raised in Houston, Texas, or surrounding areas. I'm a lawyer by trade, but I also do children books by passion. And so I got into writing and publishing children's books back in 2020. The world was slowing down for some, at least, and it was just like, what are we supposed to do? Like, what is the point of life? And so at that time, I went ahead and checked off a list item from that list, which was to publish a children's book. And so I did so. The first one I published was Andrew Learns About Actors, and it was an homage to, or just doing something with my son. At the time, my son was 4. His name is Andrew. The series is named after him. The character is his likeness. And so we both enjoy film and TV. We both enjoy characters and talking to them. And so I was just like, does he understand as a 4-year-old that the characters you see on TV are played by actors, and taking it a step further, that he can aspire to be those people that he see on TV? And so that's how I got started. And then statistics about how there's a lack of diversity in children's books. Black characters only account for like 13% back in 2023, and I want to say still to this day, whereas animals are over 40% of children's books. And so I was like, you know what, I want to do something about that. And in the next 6 months during that time, I published 8 more books. And so now, 4 years later, we're at 27 titles. And I just really love educating and inspiring children, particularly with the career book series and just the other books, just to let them know that they're important and that they belong in our stories, and that they belong everywhere.
Well, you said a lot and you do a lot. Okay, let's talk about being booked and busy. I love that you are a lawyer by trade and wanted, of course, to get into children's books, but how you merged them together and then, with your son being an influence in the books. I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's really cool to hear about how you didn't stop. I love that you were like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going with this. I'm gonna like take this beyond a bucket list and kind of make this a
Yes.
legacy. I think that that really can speak to a lot of people that may have aspirations to do something outside of what looks like their field and,
Mhm.
fill their basket, as my mother would say, which is you don't have to be one thing or do only one thing. You can
Yes.
do a lot. So I really appreciate that about your story. I do have some questions too, though. I want to know, were there any particular art authors in your world or growing up or coming up or even now that really inspired you to continue on with your own career as an author?
Yeah, so I am a huge Dr. Maya Angelou fan. And so that's the grandmother in my head, if you will. And so I didn't grow up on her books because, but I grew up on her poetry. I remember being in 6th grade and reciting Phenomenal Woman. I'm just thinking about some of the words, but yeah. So standing there in front of the class reciting "Phenomenal Woman," and things of that sort. And I just always admired her. She was someone to be admired. And I know this is not part of your question. But what was so amazing and highlighted my career, writing career, is that I went from loving and thinking about Maya Angelou as the grandmother in my head. I went to see her speak back in 2011, obviously before she passed. And I was like in the same space with her, breathing her air, as I like to say, and just listening to all her wisdom firsthand. And then come, I want to say 2023, I got the opportunity to write the story of Maya Angelou that is published by Simon and Schuster and is out there. So I got to do like a whole deep dive, and my name is on the cover with Maya Angelou, and it's just like full circle moment. So anyway, so she is definitely an inspiration to me.
That's a beautiful inspiration. I think it's so cool to hear how people are inspired by Maya Angelou because I feel like it's just a canon moment in our lives as young Black women. It's like there's just a time where somehow you come across Still I Rise or Phenomenal Woman or I remember I first heard her seeing I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings book on the dresser. I said, "Who's that? What's that? What does that
Right.
mean? What's that about?" So to see you take that inspiration and then like pull it into this entire universe and then also have that full circle moment of you being on the same cover with her. Wow, that's just so inspiring. And I think our audience can really appreciate that and get inspired too.
Yes, it really is. And so as an adult, having to research and write that story, I just became even more inspired by her, understanding who she was and the impact that she had in literature and just in life. And so what I love about her and the other writers like Zora Neale Hurston was that they were really intentional on making sure our stories, making sure we were seen, making sure our stories were told, and making sure they were heard, and so amplifying our voices. And so that is something that I do or try to do, especially when I do it on a children's book scale. But that's because children are in their formative years for good or bad. And so if you can get them early, if you can implant confidence, instill confidence in them early, then, that thing about imposter syndrome that I've battled with for many, many years starts to go away. It becomes a non-starter because from the beginning, you know that you're special, you're worthy, you're deserving of respect, and you're deserving to live. I have a shirt that says Black boys deserve to grow old too. Like, it is the truth. So, I don't know where I just went with that.
I feel like it's all relative. I mean, it really
Yeah,
does. It
it really
speaks to
is.
the importance of being seen. And once you're seen, I mean, being observed is one thing. Black people have been observed from the beginning of Black people. But to be seen is an entirely different level of
Mm.
love. I think it's a work of love. It's labor, but it's a work of love and it's a work of recognition to continue to do that. I think it's all relative. I see where you was going. I tend to do that too. So I kind of know. I was kind of following. And another question I have here is your creative process, coming up with the concept and then pulling it all the way through to publishing and completion and releasing it to the world. How is that process for you, and how was it the first time you did it?
Fumbling my way through, but I think that's where my background and just background, shall I say, because it was a lot of research. I'm self-published, and so it was a lot of research to understand what does it mean to publish, what does it mean to self-publish, what do you need to set up, what do you need, such as an ISBN, what is that, a copyright, what is that, what all that entails, registering your copyright, just all the components to make a book. And so the biggest thing that I had was finding an illustrator. Where do you find an illustrator? And that's what people ask me all the time. Like, I want to write a children's book, or I might have written one, but I don't know what to do next. I don't know where to find an illustrator. And so I've been fortunate to find more than one illustrator. And that's one of the favorite parts of the process for me. How I come up with concepts or things to write about. So again, initially it started with the career book. And so I understood at that time the importance of exposing kids to careers as early as possible. Again, 4 or 5 years old, and it's just with a book. And so I wanted to at least do 4 books at the time, focused on careers, which was actors. Andrew learns about actors. Andrew learns about teachers. Andrew learns about lawyers. And Andrew learns about engineers at the time. And when I put out Andrew Learns About Engineers, I realized or I started coming across articles about how STEM education or math and science is kind of under attack, not under attack, but children are not excelling in it in the US. anymore. And so our STEM careers are at risk. And so I realized how important that was to, again, get kids interested because they don't know about a career as an engineer if they don't have somebody in their lives. Like I'm the first lawyer in my family. So I was told I was going to be a lawyer. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew they were smart, or at least that's what I thought. I was like, oh, they're smart. So you have to do well in school. So I went on to do really well in school so I can get to law school so I could become a lawyer. And so the same thing with a child. They may not have an engineer in their family, a lawyer in their family, but they can pick up a book. They can see characters that look like them in these spaces. And they say, oh, well, I want to do that. And this is what it takes to do it. I have to do math and science. Look, I am good at math. I am good at science. So this is going on track with what I can be in life. I could be anything I want to be. That's the gist. So that's the concept for those. And then as I, again, continued just learning about the dearth of Black characters in books, and especially universal themes such as honesty. I was like, hey, I'm gonna put out a book, with a kid on it. His name is Scout. And he breaks a lamp, and now he has to figure out if he's going to tell the truth or make up a lie. Universal themes, seasons. We don't have seasons books with Black characters. I mean, we're still talking about the Snowy Day, and that's from like 1960. And so I'm gonna put out a seasons book collection that has our beautiful characters on it. We got Winnie, we got Fallon, we got Sunny, and we got Spencer. They're talking about the seasons. And so I get inspired by the statistics, by trying to, again, just inspire, educate, and normalize our children. My son's inspired Black Boy Hair Joy when he was teased about his curly hair. So I created another book with his likeness, and it celebrates his hair, but other Black boys' hair. And it's like, I am a king, because we don't have Black boy hair books, hair love books. And so that was very exciting to do. And then my summer skin is radiant, which is cross-cultural, but it was, again, inspired by my son. He was at summer camp coming home, and we kept saying, oh, you're getting so dark. You're getting so dark. And I was like, why? Why do we care? Like, so what? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go outside and have fun in the summer. And so my summer skin and radiant celebrates being outside, celebrates your child having fun. If your child had fun this summer, their skin should show it. But of course, use sunscreen. And so just changing the mindset about summertime and skin color.
Amazing. I feel like the range
Yeah.
is so
Yes.
broad. I love that. I love that. It's like you could probably just go into a space with those books lined up and just pull. What do I want to talk about today? What do I want to learn today?
Right. Yeah.
What do I want my baby to walk away with today? So
I wish I had those books when
some
I
real
was growing
treat.
up. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
shout out to you.
Yeah, but it's funny though to hear somebody speak to, you know, a really beloved title and then realize, it kind of stopped there. How can we continue to talk about this really cool thing, this interesting thing, this book I never forgot in a new way, in a new lens, and get and bring more kids in because everything starts with curiosity. If kids are nosy, if you can get a kid to get interested in something, you got them. So these titles
Mhm.
and these concepts and stuff, I think it's really great to have that influence for the babies.
Mhm. Exactly right.
Come on, shout out to y'all. Shout out to you, Tiffany. So I know, there's like through your conversation with us, like as you mentioned, where there's a lack of certain things and now you're bringing that to light. Like I'm very intrigued by that. So I can't wait to see what you come up with next with those particular themes. Now,
We going to space, y'all. We
we're going
going
to space.
Right.
Now, would you say that you've like faced any challenges as an author? And if so, like, how did you overcome those challenges?
Yeah. So the biggest challenge is twofold, and I say the reading privileges that exist. That's what I call it, at least. So when you see a character with an animal or a white character on it, that's everybody's book. But if you see a book with a Black character on it, then that's automatically a Black book. And that's why I like to emphasize a second ago, like, it's universal themes. We're talking about seasons, we're talking about careers, we're talking about honesty. It's universal. And so trying to overcome the misperception that, oh, it has a Black character, so that's not for us, that's just for them. No. And then within that, if you have a boy character, a Black boy character on the cover, then, oh, that's just for Black boys. What? So there's not a lot of books, children's books, that feature Black boy characters. All right. And so if they have a Black character, it's going to be about a man in the book, then it's going to probably be like athletics, which is not bad. but they need more. And so there's this misperception, in my opinion, that boys don't like to read. But I have a Black boy who loves to read. Okay. So that must not be it. But I'm like, okay, well, how can we just make the decision that Black boys don't like to read and they're falling behind in literacy at a greater rate than, anyone else, but we're not providing them anything worth reading, anything interesting to read. And so and so people come to my table when I'm at events and they see all my books with, beautiful Black boys all across the covers. And they say, do you have any girl books? And I'm like, but if I had a girl on this cover, then you would be, trying to get it for your boy or whatever. So a girl book is for everybody. A character with a book with a white characters for everybody. But if you have Black characters and if you have a Black boy, then it's like segmented. And so just trying to open people's mind to, you can read, it's universal. I'm just going to keep saying it's universal themes. It doesn't matter the character that's on the book.
I think this is a really brilliant point as well, because you said something that sounds so similar to our namesake August Wilson when he spoke a little bit about how he wrote stories. And the quote, I wanted to just pull the quote because it's so it well aligned with what you just said. But he says, I don't write for Black people or white people. I write about the Black experience in America, and in the specifics of that experience, I find the universals. And I think that a lot of times people are expecting to see all the people all at once. And that's how we get to universals. But this quote, and then to your point, is by going through these kind of experiences that may happen to a certain demographic, we find the universality of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. And I think it's also a way to expand our audience mind to not always expect things to happen in the same old route, you know?
Yes. Yes, exactly. Again, anybody can get a career. And so, why can't a Black boy learn about a career? Why can't, the book show our underrepresented people in these spaces where they are historically absent? And so they can aspire. We talk about lack of diversity in the workforce. Um, but what are we doing to create an organically diverse workforce? If we're not showing kids at a young age what their possibilities can be, and if they're not staying in school, or if they're only being exposed to the same type of thing, not saying it's bad or good, but being exposed to the same type of thing, then you can be mad at the end when you're looking around your workplace and see the same type of people, but we're not building the talent pool. So I like to say I'm trying to dismantle the school to prison pipeline and build a school to talent pool pipeline. By exposing kids to their future possibilities, by giving them the confidence to know that they, again, belong. You belong everywhere. And then what happens when a person who's not Black picks up a book and sees these people in these spaces? We're no longer magical beings. We are just normal people. You don't have to say, oh, why are you here? Like, you expect to see us here because you've seen it in the pages. Like I say about Black Boy Hair Joy, it's about Black Boy hair. But if someone else got the book and you see the character skipping down the hallway with locks, you're not going to say, oh my gosh, what is that on your head? When you see it in real life, because you've seen it before. It's not unusual. And what happens when things are unusual, then you fear them. You can fear them. And so normalizing Black people, Black children, us being in spaces is really intentional on my part.
Yeah. I think it also encourages the others, the parents to do that work as well, to
Mm-hmm.
bring these types of books into their children's playroom. Because if they see it and they're not like, and that's okay to be that way at first, but then you move past that curiosity and then you begin to get toward embracing and understanding. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just feel like you have an invisible like superhero suit on, because the range of the work is just it's just absolutely beautiful. I
That
think
is
this
the
is a real
word of the
treat.
day, the range of the work. Okay.
Yes.
Talking about changing the narrative and changing history, okay? I love it.
And going to the beginning, to the source,
Yes.
Okay.
instead of waiting until there's an issue and then complaining about it and then not necessarily wanting to make the changes.
Yes. I'm about to nod my head off my neck. Yes. Yes. We talk about like pipelines, but those pipeline programs, we need them, but they start in college. Okay, we've already fallen out the pipeline. They
Pipeline
start
gone.
high school, we've fallen out the pipeline. By
Mhm.
sixth grade, if you they're gonna fall out. You know what I'm saying? That's what they say. The statistics show if they're not reading by third or fourth grade, then they're probably dropping out of school by sixth grade. So you
Right.
wait into high school or college to say, hey, come over here, experience
Right.
this career. It's way too late. When all you have to do, I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, of course, but when one of the things that you can do is give them a book, give
Yeah.
them a book to expose them to what their possibilities can be.
100%. 100%.
Tiffany, I would like to say that you have made it onto my list of people who I could listen talk all day.
Oh,
Yes.
Like Kia's on that list, you're on that list, and there's only a select few other people
And I'll
where
do it. I'll do it. She has seen it. She has seen it. She has been exhausted by it.
I
She'll
just am
have
like always
what?
in awe of like the things that are coming out of Kia's mouth, and I'm just in awe of like, oh my gosh, like I could hear her talk all day. Oh my
oh,
But
thank
goodness.
it's
So
you.
so, it's so interesting to hear you
yeah,
just constantly make these connections back to the importance. I think a lot of times people can branch out and do other things, and it's okay to kind of compartmentalize and keep them in their separate block. But the way that you find the common thread of knowing that this was the influence that was given to me. This is how I was able to take it all the way up through law school. That's
Hmm.
not something that should be taken can be taken lightly. So then for kids to not only see that in these books, but to also say, who wrote this book? How did they? Oh wow, so they did this. Okay, so now we're talking about somebody that is an example, beyond just the characters, the author is a living example of this work. So I think that our children deserve to be exposed to this type
Yeah.
of thing. And I think it should be normal to them. It should be like just as normal as, we come home and we used to turn on a certain cartoon. Come home,
Yeah.
you pick up a certain book and you gain something from it on a regular basis. I think also just speaking to CC starting Storytime Spotlight, making this a normal thing. This is I mean, to cover such a small city like Pittsburgh with how many authors we've covered
Hmm.
over the years, and then to be able to branch out. I mean, we are everywhere writing these stories and inspiring these babies. And you're in Houston, Texas. Come on, Beyonce. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, we have such a rich pool of brilliant minds contributing to our youth. And I know that sometimes we can get caught up in what flows through the mainstream about what we have and what we have to
Hmm.
offer. But this is a
Hmm.
constant example of, just how brilliant our minds truly are and how we can continue to contribute to our babies.
For sure. And I always like to point out, I remember I was writing some other book and they had Nichelle Nichols. That's the
Mm.
Star Trek lady. And so what was fascinating about that was not, Nichelle is fascinating as well, but Whoopi Goldberg's reaction to seeing Nichelle as the Star Trek character. They say she said that when she saw Nichelle character, she yelled from her living room, which I'm sure is probably a small house, but she yelled from her, Mom, there's a black lady on TV and she ain't no maid. And that just always stuck with me because it took that long for her to see someone that was in outer space. And that's what Nichelle gave to people. Like Black people were in the future because
Yeah.
Nichelle's in the future. So we're not in our past and
Yes.
we belong in the future. So belonging is very important.
Mm.
And media, be it TV, film, books, have a very important role in how we see ourselves and our possibilities.
Absolutely.
totally agree.
This should have been a TED Talk. Mm.
You know, listen, let's think about that. Well, Tiffany, we appreciate you and appreciate all the work you're doing and spreading, the word and uplifting voices and all the things. So, we want to know with these beautiful children's books that you've created, what are we going to be listening to today?
It was such a hard decision with 27, but I decided to read from the most recent book release. So can y'all see it? Look, I'm trying to do an influencer. Goldilocks versus the Three Bears. This is the second beginner chapter book in what I call the fairy tale versus series. And so, just a little how this came about. So, y'all know the books I write, and I was reading, and I was just so fascinated about fairy tale books that have like a science twist, or like they say a scientist or whatever. It's like, oh, this is how this will really happen. And so I was like, man, that is so cool. I wish I could do something like that legally. Like, how can I do this as like a lawyer? And then one day I'm walking up the stairs of my house and I said, I'm going to do legal retellings. Like, I'm about to put these characters in the courtroom, and that's going to be so cool. And so that's what happens in Fairy Tale Verses. We have our main character, Olivia Odemeyer. And yes, you clocked that, Olivia Odemeyer, not Sonia Sotomayor. And she is inspired by me. And by that, I mean, she's trusted amongst her forest friends. She's even been elected judge, if you will, or appointed judge, but she still has so much doubt. She still has imposter syndrome because other than her poster of Kamala Harris, yes, clock it again, she's the first lawyer or judge in the forest. And so it's like, I don't want to disappoint anybody. I just want to make the right decision. Am I really capable? And also what was really important about her character to me was to make her not be, I'm not going to say eloquent, but sometimes she stutters, sometimes she doesn't have the right word. And I'm not a stutterer, but I just think about how when you watch TV lawyers, the white male lawyers, they always just speak so well. They never trip up on anything. They always have all the answers. And when that's all you see, then when you're not being that level of perfection, that scripted perfection, then you don't know what to think. You're like, well, maybe I'm not capable. So I wanted to make her relatable to the readers. She has glasses, so people say, oh my gosh, she has glasses like me. But I wanted to make her relatable to the the reader is like, you don't have to be perfect to lead. You don't have to be perfect to make decisions. And yeah, so this was the first one, Three Pigs versus the Wolf, where, as it says, the three pigs sue the wolf for blowing down their homes. And so Olivia makes the decision there. And now the second one that came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe months ago now, Goldilocks versus the Three Bears. I wanted to goop and gag people because it's like, what do you mean Goldilocks is suing the bears? So what happens is, let me set this up for y'all before I start reading. As we know, Goldilocks go through their house, tearing up stuff, eating stuff, breaking stuff, sleeping. But she's suing them because they're telling people in the forest about her and calling her names. And she says, I am not the names y'all call me. So she is defending her name. It's defamation of character, just to put like the legal term on it. But yeah, so this is a way to talk about name calling. And yeah, so she's standing up for her name. And y'all see that tent on her? Y'all see that tent?
I was going to mention that, but yes,
It is
listen,
intentional.
this is
So
brilliant. Okay.
Come
yes,
on,
so she
Goldie. Come on,
is.
Goldie.
What you say?
Hey, come on, Goldie. I
Right.
see
Yes. So
Right.
yes, Goldilocks has a tent on purpose. When Beyonce came out with Cowboy Carter, some Instagram account had talked about how Beyonce has blonde hair, or she wears her hair blonde, and so they were like, Black people have blonde hair. You go trace it back to Africa, there are Black or darker skinned people, African people with blonde hair, and I said, oh, that's my Goldilocks. So that's where that came from. So
my natural color right here. This natural blonde right here, too.
Well,
so
we are so happy we can't wait to hear it. I'm gonna go on mute and it's all you, Tiffany.
All right.
All
So
right.
it's a beginner chapter book for ages 6 to 9. So the chapters are short. So I'll either read one or two chapters, but I'm going to start in the middle. And yeah, let's get started. So this is chapter 4. This character here is Carl Coyote, and these two little mice, you're going to hear a little bit more about them. It's a beginner chapter book, so it does have illustrations throughout, and they're black and white, as you just saw. So Carl Coyote, he has his briefcase flung in the air. Hope that gives you a little nod to who he is. He also appears in our first one, and I had to bring him back because I loved him so much. My son hated him, but I loved him. So chapter 4. Suddenly, the courtroom door burst open. In walked Carl Coyote. Carl was once a scruffy lawyer with an old raggedy suit jacket and a too-tight hat. But everything changed after he defended the wolf against the pigs. Carl's grand gestures and clever arguments, delivered with flair, turned the courtroom upside down and made him a forest star overnight. These days, his tan fur was neatly groomed beneath a crisp blue suit jacket and matching blue tie. His new hat fit him just right. Two tiny mice in black suits trotted ahead of Carl. They led him to the empty table. All eyes followed Carl as Goldilocks shuffled in behind him. Goldilocks got Mr. Coyote, the courtroom crowd murmured excitedly. Olivia had not expected Goldilocks to have a lawyer to present her case, and certainly not Carl, whose words could twist even the straightest of sticks. Olivia realized this must have been why Goldilocks had been late. She also realized this case was going to be much more complex than she had expected. Ever the showman, Carl swept his briefcase high in the air before placing it onto the table with a loud thunk. He stood straight, chest puffed, and tail swishing proudly behind him. His grin gleamed as he scanned the courtroom. He clearly enjoyed the attention. But Goldilocks slumped into her seat, her head low and her eyes fixed on her shiny black shoes. She looked as if she wanted to melt into the floor. Olivia rapped her gavel, snapping William back to attention. William is the bailiff. He cleared his throat and squawked loudly. Order in the court! A hush swept the courtroom. We are here today to... We know why we're here, Carl interrupted William mid-announcement. My client, Miss Goldilocks, is suing the Bear family for calling her harmful names. They say she's a burglar, a vandal, a brat, but none of it's true, Carl boomed. The truth is she was lost, tired, and hungry. She found a cozy cottage, some soothing porridge, and a place to rest. She wasn't being bad, Carl stressed, wiggling his paws in the air. She was just a scared little girl who needed help, shelter, nourishment. Carl pointed a claw at the Bear family's table. The Bear family has made Miss Goldilocks an outcast with their name calling. We will prove that she is not what they have called her. With a sharp turn and a smoothing of his jacket, Carl returned to his seat. Papa Bear's shaggy fur bristled. He rose slowly, his red suspenders stretched like rubber bands across his broad chest. How dare you, Papa Bear growled. So then we have Papa Bear standing up mad. And do we have time for one more chapter? All right. Chapter 5. Papa Bear, please, Benjamin said firmly. So Benjamin is the Bear family's lawyer. Benjamin said firmly, placing his small paw on Papa Bear's big arm. I've got this. Papa Bear froze mid-growl, his jaw hanging open. He dropped back into his seat and crossed his arms, grumbling under his breath. Mama Bear placed a soothing paw on his large arm. Benjamin stood up and buttoned the jacket of his tidy dark green suit. His chestnut brown fur was sleek beneath it. His small brown shoes clicked softly as he walked to the front of the room. This is my husband's favorite illustration. He like, that boy clean. So Benjamin Beaver is from the city, and he's dressed to the nines, whereas the wolf is from the forest. So he has a suit jacket and a hat that fits now, but he ain't got all his own. So anyway, Your Honor, Benjamin began, we will prove today that everything the Bear family has said about Miss Goldilocks is true. On that face, she broke into the Bear family's home. Broke into? That's a wild exaggeration, Carl scoffed. Olivia banged her gavel. Mr. Coyote, she warned. Carl bowed his head with mock surrender. Benjamin continued. As I was saying, she broke into their home like a burglar. She broke their things like a vandal. She ate their food like a spoiled brat. And she even had the nerve to sleep in Baby Bear's bed. A wave of gas rippled through the courtroom. A squirrel dropped her berries. She slept in his bed. Goldilocks sank low in her seat. These are all facts, not rumors, not exaggerations, Benjamin said, cutting his eyes at Carl. You will see that the Bear family are the truth here. Bear returned to his seat. He acknowledged Papa Bear with a quick nod before sitting. Olivia's mind raced. Was Benjamin right? If the Bears were just telling the truth about what happened to them, should they get in trouble for it? William tapped his beak against Olivia's bench. She blinked and pulled herself back to the moment. Oh, you both made interesting opening arguments, Olivia stammered. Trying to steady herself, she took a deep breath. Mr. Coyote, she started again, you may call your first witness to the stand. And then we get into the depths of the trial. So I stop right there.
Look, I was waiting for what was next. I was getting it.
The suspense is building.
I know. That's what people say. They're like, why you leave it on cliffhangers? I'm like, because you got to come back. You got to keep reading it.
Exactly.
We're going to have to purchase that book. Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Adults read it all the time. I'm so serious. They be like, I want to know how it ends. But I really wanted to make, again, Olivia relatable so kids can see themselves in her. Maybe, again, pursue being a legal path that they wanted to, but also learn about objectivity. So, again, in Three Pigs versus the Wolf, you just automatically assume the wolf is guilty. I know what happened, right? You know the story. but you got to read to see how it ends. And then introducing like the lawyer, which was Carl in that one, who was defending the wolf. And again, my son was so upset, but I'm like, he's a zealous advocate. That's what lawyers do. You got to advocate. And so when I returned Carl, because he's just so extra, I had to put an opponent that was kind of different from him, you know? And so you have a little bit more structure in the second one as far as the trial, but you're going to have the objectivity, keeping you think you know the story, but let's hear both sides before we make a decision. And then just, again, exposure to the legal system.
I love it.
You gotta give it up. You gotta give it up. That was
Yes,
awesome. That was awesome.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's
So
brilliant. So,
speaking of suspense and cliffhangers,
right.
how can our audience finish the story? How can we access the books and get our read on?
Yes. So my website is www.sugarcookiebooks.com. I'm Sugar Cookie Books on all platforms. And by that, I mean Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, even LinkedIn. So Sugar Cookie Books, you can find me anywhere. You can also find me on tiffanyobeng.com. So my name, but my books are also sold on all major online retailers. If you want, though, I do have a pack. I probably have to put it more clearly on my website. But these two books and then the Andrew Learns About Lawyers is called the Little Legal Pack. And so you get the Andrew Learns About Lawyers, which is the introductions to lawyers and the things you can do with your legal degree. And then you have the two beginner chapter books as well to kind of put it into action.
Right. That's great. That's awesome. We have so much to choose from. We have 27 titles.
Right.
Just amazing. You can literally, this is a little library. You can literally just stay there and get everything you need. Um, so in closing, I just want to ask you, what would you say to an aspiring author who's just starting out, who wants to, maybe get their voice out there and get youth inspired with their work and maybe experiencing a little bit of that imposter syndrome that we spoke about. What would you say?
I would say, I always say, do it scared. That's what I live by. If what's holding back is just fear of the unknown, just do it anyway and see what happens. The worst that can happen is what? You publish your book and it sells, or you publish your book and it doesn't sell. I don't know. But like those are the two, like that's the worst that can happen. So whenever I'm about to make a decision or I'm stuck somewhere, I always say, what's the worst that can happen? And I literally will go through like, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? And what's the worst that can come from it? But I also was encouraged by Marianne Williamson's quote, which I've come to learn wasn't her original quote, but whatever, which was, our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And so I first heard it in Coach Carter. And at first I was like, I don't even know what that means. But as I got into writing and publishing, I'm like, that is kind of scary that, you can be a little pebble thrown into a stream, a pond, a lake, an ocean, or whatever, and cause such ripple effects. That's
Yeah.
powerful and that's scary. And so I think about that quote a lot. So do it scared. And our greatest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. But let's be powerful.
Yes, let's be powerful. That set the tone.
That
Let's be powerful.
set the tone.
Wow. So do
Yes.
you have anything?
We
Anything?
thank you so much, Tiffany, for being a part of our Storytime Spotlight and sharing these beautiful books and words with us and our virtual audience. And we would love to continue to work with you in some capacity, just because I'm excited to see what the next book is and how we could, do something together. We thank you so much for your time. And yeah, I don't know, Kia. The only thing I'm just like over here taking it all
Yeah,
in, kind
it's
of
so
like,
much. Yeah. This series is always so impactful because
yeah.
we sit down and we're so excited to share the authors with the audience, but then we are like, we need to
Yeah.
let's find them online. We need to find them on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's always so exciting because it's just a constant expanding of community and a constant expanding of people that we may otherwise not have been exposed to, or the people we wish we were exposed to when we were younger, and we had,
Mhm.
I know I was a bookworm, so
Mhm.
again, just being, seeing the reality of our authors existing and then also being able to actually engage. I got book fair money now. I could go get my
Right.
food. So, just it's always great to be inspired. So, yes, we thank you.
And Kia and I, we always talk about like how we are talking here. We'll continue to talk about this. Like, oh my God, that was so amazing. We always like it could be months later,
We
like,
got to debrief.
yeah. But as far as what's coming up at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center in our world of things, we will be having a wonderful camp come back in June, our music camp. This will be June 22nd through the 26th, so stay tuned for registrations. We will be accepting students into this beautiful camp. And then I think we have our STEAM Community Day, July 18th from 12 to 3 at the August Wilson African American Cultural Center. And then, of course, we will have our next segment of Storytime Spotlight in June as well, as this is a bi monthly series. So stay tuned for all things. I'm your girl, Cece,
My name is Kia Adams.
and we
And of
got our
course,
good friend
the
from
lovely.
Texas, the lovely Tiffany, and we are out. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank y'all.
Bye.